we're giving God the glory for this day.
Amen.
Wait. I got something to say. I want to get this off my chest.
Please, not right now.
Nobody told me about this. The sandwich generation, what is that? What's next? I thought XYZ generation was enough, but I wasn't ready or expecting this. When my elders got old, there was no nursing homes or paying for daycare. What are we doing?
So what you saying? So what you saying? You know when you got me, you got my entire family. Me, my child, my mama, the whole shebang. Don't act like this and don't make me cut up.
That was way too natural. Way too natural.
That's to me. Well, you got the biggity bang part right. This banging thing has been banging my head all year. I can't tell you about your mom. I haven't heard, seen much help on the siblings. I can't tell you how to discipline. I can't tell you how to deal with your mom. I love Marquise, my bonus child. But he needs to act right.
Honey, I think there's a way for us to handle everything. From our aged parents on one end to us raising these beautiful children of ours. But you can't stop me from seeing after my mom. And you definitely know how I feel about you touching my child.
Oh, commercial. We pull it back together. We're gonna go commercial.
But you know, it has been bottling up in you all this time. I think this was the oddest time for you to explode. I can't even get this one excited about you in bed.
Really?
It just got real. You okay?
You think? They say no finance, no romance. Babe, this sandwich situation has got me stopped and under pressure. I'm sorry I've been so apprehensive, but a lot, and maybe I've been so apprehensive a lot, but maybe a lot, maybe that you don't understand what I mean.
I may not know, but I know what we gotta do.
Are you sure we do? Before we do anything, another thing gonna have to take place in the bedroom. Oh, I ain't gonna have nothing else to say to you. Oh yeah, you can't hear me now?
It's not that.
What is it then?
Honey, I'm under a lot of pressure too. I'm just trying to be the best that we can be, and you should be too.
Have you not heard anything that I said? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey,
All right, that got kind of interesting. It got a little warm in here for a second, right? So first, we want to talk about what were some of the key issues that was going on with them. What are some of the key issues that we know?
I mean, what issues did I had to start taking notes. All right, one, they had blended families and discipline issue. Stress about taking care of mom. the finances involved around that, as well as the quality time. Is that right? Quality time away from home. Conflict over sexual intimacy, and then emotional intimacy, and then being distracted by the cell phone.
So why don't we start? How many of you can relate to this, or some aspects of this? How many of you can relate? Yeah. Okay. All right. We got some real folks up in here. So we all family today. We're gonna keep it 100. We're gonna keep it real.
Right.
So for a lot of us, we may be in that space where we're taking care of our kids and we're taking care of our elderly parents. And one of the things that I noticed as y'all were talking is stress. Stress is real. And we have to make sure that we manage our stress, because if we don't, then that's when the irritability comes out, right? Like that's when like things that maybe used to just roll off your back, you start to get a little irritable with your mate. And so stress is something really important. What are some things that you notice?
All right, so one, and this goes for both men and women. I think this is really pertinent for a man, since we're talking about it, is this is by show of hands, men. How many of you are having enough fun in your life? Yeah, fun. Fun. All right, fun. All right, let me something happens when all we do is work. It says all work and no play makes Jack a dull. Dull means depressed. Okay? And as men, sometimes what we do is we focus too much on what we have to do, and we get away from kind of the essence of who we are, and that's having fun. All right? And when we don't have fun, guess how we respond when we come home? We're irritable. We'll be like, you adding one more thing to my plate, and I'm not even having any fun. I'm giving up all my fun, and you have the nerve to complain? And then you want to add mama to the mix? And then you don't want me to spank your child? So the first thing is, man, I think it's important. I think it's important for you to have fun, to have balance. You know, women tend to do a better job than we do of hanging out with their girlfriends and having some type outside life. But as men, I think sometimes we try to treat ourselves as robots, and we become irritable and we wear down. So I'm giving all men here permission to have more fun. I have more fun. All right. All right.
Got the green light. Let's have some fun.
All right. Right. You have to schedule it. Now you're gonna have to. And same thing, ladies, because sometimes the reality is women tend to sacrifice even more, because then you end up doing the. Okay, I had to keep it balanced. I saw the eyes. Like, my husband having enough fun. And so I think that in a relationship, it goes, we don't ever talk about this. In a marriage, the first person you should take care of outside of your relationship with God should be yourself. And I think what happens is we end up coming into the marriage and we don't ever have a conversation about what's fun to you and what's fun to me. But before you got married, did you not have hobbies? Do you not need some time to yourself? You know, when I come in the house, I tell my wife, baby, can I just wash the day off? Can I watch ESPN for 15 minutes? Can I just have fun for 15 minutes? You know? And she needs to do the same thing. So I think the first piece of advice is couples sit down with one another and actually schedule some fun away from each other as well as together. Because some of y'all just together too much. You need some time to miss your spouse. So that's the first thing that's going to reduce stress.
And just to add on that, I think sometimes we look to our mate to make us happy. Like, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm angry. Like, make me happy, fill me up. And I love what you said about really making sure that we take care of ourselves. Like, whether it's like taking a hot bath, going for a run, making sure that you're doing those things to refuel your tank. Now, the other issue that came up in the discussion was about discipline, right? When I met my husband, I was 19, and we didn't have any kids at the time, but when we got married, a year after getting married, his two nephews came to live with us. And so it was a big adjustment on many levels, and we had to figure out, like, how are we going to kind of manage this thing, right? And so it took a lot of communication. I think sometimes that is the struggle, is that we're not communicating about, like, how we want things to go. We're not communicating about what are the rules, what are the consequences, what happens if X, Y, and Z occurs, who's going to handle the discipline, and how are we going to move as a unit. What do you think, Dr. Hart, about that aspect?
All right, so in this scenario, it was a blended family, and that is really, really tricky. How many here are in blended families? All right, so as you see, it's typically right now 30-40% of the population, and growing, and will grow. The older your kids get, the more likely they will either be in a blended family or they will have friends who are in a blended family. What we know is that high school is about 50-50. All right, high school personnel can tell you that they're used to expanding the forms to include multiple parents. The first thing, and this is that you have to have a relationship with the kid before you discipline. You have to have a relationship with the kid before you discipline. Jesus has a relationship with us, and because he has a relationship with us, we're able to receive the consequences. But I think what happens is there's a parent that walks in, typically it's the same gender. So if it's a male parent and he sees a boy acting out, that male parent a lot of times wants to discipline that boy. Same thing if it's a female parent and she sees a girl that's kind of mouthy, on the phone all the time, in the middle of the, I'm just playing. All right, I have two girls, so on the phone, she wants to straighten her out, but it doesn't work if you don't have a relationship. So I think the best advice is that if you're the primary parent, regardless of gender, you do the discipline. The primary parent should do the discipline early on in the relationship, because that's where it's better received. That way you allow the other parent to build a relationship. I mean, can you imagine someone just coming in here that we don't know, disciplining us? Even if they're right, we're gonna say, well, who are you? You don't tell me what to do. You're not my daddy, not my mama. You just her man, and you probably be gone a couple months, Right.
Yep.
So y'all understand. Y'all understand, especially if there's loyalty issues. So to kind of wrap that point up, the primary parent should be the disciplinarian, even if it's the mom disciplining the son, even if it's the dad disciplining the daughter, so that your wife and husband doesn't have to come in and be automatic co-parent. That is too hard. Then the second thing, when it comes to blended families, the research shows it takes 2 to 3 years for you all to be able to create your own culture. So one thing is you have to have more conversations. You have to be able to say, what are the rituals that we have as father, son, mother, daughter that don't need to be interrupted? I had a couple come in the other day, Dr. Lewis, and the man is Seventh-day Adventist, and the kids are a 10 Word of Faith. And it was so funny. They said, we like him and everything, but this whole no video games on Saturday, man, I can't do it. He has to go. We can't do it. All right, and so the wife felt conflicted because she was trying to honor her husband's faith. They're trying to work through what they're going to do. So they're going to church on Saturday and they're going to church on Sunday, trying to balance it out. And the kids are like, that's not working for us. That's not working. And then the whole, not having any activities until sundown on Saturday. He's like, you're messing up my football practice. You're messing up the games. The daughter was like, I'm trying to go to the mall, And so you have to be able to have a conversation first as parents, and then as an entire family, and say, what rules? How do you want the family to work? When you come over the house, what bedroom do you think you should be in? Does that make sense? You can be the oldest and you bunking with a 6-year-old. You're like, that's not working for me. All right? So you need to have a conversation with the kids about what part of this family is working for you and what adjustments would you like to make. And so we call that the family meeting.
I Excellent, excellent. In my book, Marital Peace, one of the things that I talk about is parenting. And sometimes we may not be prepared for that transition into parenting or blending families. And so just making sure that you have some time where you're really communicating and building a relationship with that bonus child is so critical. So the next issue, another issue that we saw in the case was taking care of elderly parents. For me and my marriage, my husband is Haitian, and so we go to Haiti a couple times a year. When we first got married, I didn't really get it. I didn't understand like the reason why he has so much responsibility when it came to his family in Haiti until I went there, and I kind of got more of an understanding of just the country doesn't have like a national health insurance plan like we have here. I know for me, like at my age, nobody in my family was expecting that I was gonna like save them and take care of them. But sometimes, like outside of the U.S., there is some expectations that get put on the family unit, right? And so that's what happened for us. And so we had to figure this out. We had to figure out, okay, how can we make sure that thank you so much. How can we make sure that we are supporting our in-laws and our family outside of our unit, but also like taking care of home at the same time? And so that meant a lot of conversations. And I know sometimes in our community, we may not necessarily talk about, okay, well, what happens if someone gets sick? What happens if we may need to look at additional care? Would we figure out a way to take in family if need be? And those are critical conversations that are so important that we do have, not once we get there, but early on. Like with my parents, I talk to them now about just long-term care and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, one, you have to start planning for this. It's not going to be if you're going to take care of mom and dad. It's going to be when. That's the reality. How many of you are already taking care of aging parents? All right. So the first thing is you have to plan for that. And the first thing is solid right now is that you're going to have to make sure that your marriage is getting time. Yeah. How many of you have time with your spouse scheduled on your smartphone right now? Uh-huh.
Couple people.
Right. So, good job, brother. Your wife is pregnant. Good job, brother. Lord,
So we didn't hear that, right? Did you hear?
So what happens is when you start adding another responsibility and the marriage is not getting oxygen, you start having marital problems. All right, it doesn't matter whether you're taking care of mom or you're taking care of dad. And here's how it cascades. Is we have more expectations of marriage now than at any point ever in the history of marriage. It's no longer just the gender roles. You go work and I stay home. Now it's I need you to be the best lover all the time, because I can't get bored. All right. I need you to be my financial partner. I need you to be my prayer warrior. I need you to be okay with co-parenting, as well as be on the same page with my bonus child. I need you to be on the same page about us paying for the best schools and going to college. I need you to be on the same page about working out and health. And I need you to be on the same page about watching football together as a unit. All right, as a unit. Right, the wings at halftime, all that kind of stuff. Right. All right, quick note on that is that the research shows that for the first time in research that men are actually have expectations of their wives to actually have fun with them. All right, that wasn't the case before, but now most men want their wives, come play golf with me. Watch the game. Let me explain this to you. Or there's a particular hobby that you have. Most of them want their wives to be a part of. It's fun for us. All right. So just know, because my wife hates football. All right. But she knows. Just sit there. Let me just tell you about why Michael Vick should still be the quarterback, not Mike Ryan. Just indulge me just for a second. Just indulge me for a second, so that we can have fun. So the first thing is time. You need to schedule today, time in your schedule, ongoing time with your spouse. We're the busiest generation ever. and we're busy doing everything but marriage. And then we wonder about when mom gets sick, why we can't be on the same page. So we were already in the deficit, right? And then the wife has to go and take care of mom. That's an open door. That's an open door, I'm be honest, for infidelity. It's not that the man wants to cheat. It's the fact that he is way under his tolerance for attention. All right, so there's two points. Taking care of an elderly parent and the 6 months to a year after having a child. Those are the periods where men tend to, where infidelity happens the most. All right, and so I want you all to be able to guard against that so that you can be able to talk. Because one of the things this couple did, and then I'll pass it back, was you deserve to exist too. Does that make sense? And so what they were having was necessary conflict and saying, yes, I love the fact that you're taking care of mom, but I need us to have time too. All right? How can we do both? How can we take care of mom? Because she needs support as well. She needs her husband to drive her to take care of mom. Maybe you go take care of mom. How many of you had to take care of someone that was sick and it just wore you down? It wears you down because, you know, if you're not there in the hospital, they don't get the same care. If you're not there in nursing home, they don't get the same care. If they're at home, mama's still mama. I do what I want to do. I cook when I want to cook. And, you know, my big mama tried to cook in the middle of the night, and my mom and big mom were arguing. You know, and my dad had to come down there and say, hey, just let her cook. Just let her cook. Hey, we all can eat, you know. And my mom said, well, you stay up and make sure she don't burn the kitchen down. But that teamwork. And so I think, but before it happens, be able to have a conversation and say, how do we do this? And do we need to get other family members involved? Sometimes we have that luxury. Sometimes you don't trust your family members with them. I'm just being honest. All right, and do we need to get another person to help out? Can we afford to get another person to help out? Because it's wearing both of us out, and you don't want to lose the marriage while you're taking care of mom and dad.
That's good. All right, guys, we don't want this just to be a monologue where we talking at you, but we want to hear from you. We want to hear what are some of your questions around this. Yes, sir.
On that blended family, and I thank you for the advice about, that's not my situation, first of all. But thank you for the advice about having the primary parent do the discipline of the child. But what is your advice is if the primary parent wasn't disciplining the child before we got together? And so now the idea of the marriage is that, I finally got someone else that's a husband that's gonna take care of my son. What do you advise that as far as in that situation?
It is a disservice not to discipline your child. And I understand as a man, it is nothing more stressful than seeing a boy that needs to be put in place in love and being handicapped. That is frustrating. That's enough to break the relationship apart. Because you know there's gonna come a day where he's gonna test you, and some of y'all can't trust your emotion regulation. Especially if you're old school. All right. So I think what it is maybe even going in and talking to the pastor, going in and saying, listen, it's not helping, especially a boy, for him not to be disciplined. It's only going to hurt him. The worst thing for especially a black boy to be is be undisciplined. All right. And so if you won't do the discipline, and I can't do it because he's not going to receive it from me, we're just going to lead to rebellion. Because I'm doing something that needs to be done. And so I think that that's another area where you have to have necessary conflict. There were times in which Jesus flipped over tables. All right. That's a time I think in relationships saying I can't be in a co-parenting relationship if there's no discipline. With no discipline, there's chaos. All right. So I need you to start with the discipline. And then once our relationship is built, then I can come in and do the discipline. But you do not enable that situation. I think if you have to argue about that every single day, because the boy actually wants discipline. All right? The girl needs discipline. She's still on her phone. I'm playing. She has her headphones in, she can't even hear, you know. So they need that discipline. So it's important. It's important. Yes. One more question, and then we'll just do sexual intimacy, please. All right.
One of the biggest issues when we have conflict is the breakdown in communication. What if your communication is broke before you go in a relationship, and then you get the blended family, then you get your parent, bro. What's your suggestion on how to fix the communication factor before, in order to deal with the rest of this stuff?
One of the struggles I had is about last year, my mom had 3 surgeries in like a 3-month period. And so my mom is in Pensacola, so my siblings, they work jobs, and I'm a business owner, I own a therapy practice, and so I have a little bit more flexibility. So kind of the bulk of that came to me. And so I ended up going back to Pensacola a lot, just to make sure that she was okay and she was nursed back to health. And my husband went with me. He went with me the first couple times. And then the third time he wasn't able to. And I was kind of disappointed. But the reality is we had to have conversations about just communication and also setting realistic expectations, because sometimes we may expect things of our mate, but just the reality of our situation, we may not be able to do it. And so I would say definitely having some conversations about what's realistic, what can we do, what can't we do, what do we really need, what's really important, and what are some things that maybe I'd like to have it, but I get it, if that, you know what I mean, compromise. That's really big.
Yeah, and I think something we want to show you if you want to play along is called the stress reducing conversation.
Okay.
All right, because we're under a lot of stress, and we expect our partners to be able to carry that stress. If you look at this water bottle, we expect our partner to be able to pour into us, and we can just take everything that they pour into us so that you feel lighter. So what you want to do is you want to avoid trying to fix a situation. That's where we go wrong as men. All right, because it's a different language. We don't really call each other just to empathize. So I say, hey man, I need to help. My TV, I got a new TV, 60-inch. Yeah, I didn't pay for it to be installed though. What do we expect? You want me to come over and help? Yeah, I don't need help, but I want you to come over, Right. All right, but women will call each other and they'll talk about a problem, and they just want their girlfriend to empathize and listen. All right, so what we're gonna do is demonstrate that role play again with a stress-reducing conversation. Okay, so just go from the top of the dome. You seem like you have a flair for the dramatic anyway.
I'm just trying to,
Right.
You want to do it again?
Hey, just start from the top, and then I'm gonna play the role of your husband for a second. Just start talking about being stressed about taking care.
Say when you know you got me.
Oh, okay. So what you saying? When you got me, you got my entire family, me, my child, my mama. You got everybody. You got us all.
First of all, I'm gonna need that neck movement, Mr. Stockton. I'm playing. I'm playing. I'm gonna do. All right, I'm playing. I couldn't help it. All right.
It's cool.
All right, so my job is actually, all I'm gonna do is be able to take her stress and be able to feel it, okay? So baby, it sounds like you're under a lot of pressure with taking care of mom. I know she's been sick. I know you're already working. I know you're already taking care of the kids. And I know how you are about family. When we first met, you told me it was all about family. So I can imagine this is a stressful situation for you. What can I do to help?
Okay, so, honey, I think the way we're handling, I think there is a way for us to handle everything from our aging parents on one end to us raising our beautiful children of ours. But you can't stop me from seeing after my mama. And you definitely know how I feel about you touching my child.
All right. Let's deal.
Temperature is rising.
Yeah, let's deal
One thing at a time.
let's deal one thing at a time.
Because then too, in that she's not getting help from anyone. That's the point that was the main thing.
Right.
She has siblings and no one's stepping up. It's just her.
All right, so take it from there and empathize with just that for her.
Well, flipping the script from what we read, I would probably
Look her right in her eyes and
I
tell
would probably say, okay, we need to figure out what we have to do and just go on and do it because we're not getting any help, so don't even look for it. It's just, that was part of the sermon we heard today that really touched home. We build what we need to build. We do what we need to do, and how we do it is how we do it. And whatever comes was whatever comes. That's how I would probably approach this.
Give it.
That was good. Let's give it a So, as psychologists, we look at not just the words that are being said, but also the body language behind what we say, because that's like 80 to 90% of communication is our body language. And so Dr. Tarr said, okay, look at her. Something shifts when we look at each other. Like when we really give each other our eye contact, our attention, something shifts in moments like that.
So one of the strengths and one of the skills you have to develop as a husband, and it's ongoing, is the ability to remain calm under pressure. And church say amen. Amen. All right, I have to do yoga weekly because my wife from Inglewood. It's just like, whoo! Why you gotta make it so hard, girl? So it's important. It's important that you practice being calm. I mean, you practice yoga. You practice being silent in prayer. You're practicing meditation. You are having fun. You are lifting weights. You are exercising because it's a lot of pressure. And you saw how her whole countenance changed the minute he started supporting her stress. So husbands, and this is a skill for you to be able to pick up, is that when your wife is stressed or when your husband is stressed, if you can just go along with it, it's really like being. This is probably a poor example, but I think it's not an appropriate example, but it's the best example. All right, so think about a drinking partner. All right, so when you're in the bar, okay, and you're saying, oh man, my life is terrible. The drinking partner doesn't say, oh man, cheer up, it's gonna be better. You're like, man, I don't wanna hear that. All right, the drinking partner is gonna say, man, what'd they do at work? Man, they're making me work overtime. For real? I bet they're not paying you time and a half, sure not. All right, so I want you to have that mentality. I need to come up with a better example. Okay, you can drink orange juice at the bar, okay, all right? So what you want to be for your partner is that supporter, all right? So, Dante said he couldn't do it. Oh, your sister said she was too busy. Oh, all right, what about the one that's not working? Oh, she driving Uber? Oh, okay, all right. She can't even Uber. She can't even Uber mama to the doctor's appointment. I mean, baby, that sounds like a lot of stress. I don't even know why they do that. I don't know why it's all on you. I hate that. I wish you had more help. All right, at the same time, babe, we only have so many finances. I mean, we were trying to save, so-and-so is, our daughter, she's in volleyball. We got to pay for the volleyball dues. We trying to save for retirement. So we have stress from multiple situations. So tell us.
And see, that's the thing now that kind of like I can relate to this because I don't have any siblings. And I just moved my mom down here from Chicago a couple of months ago. So, she's in a home and, I have to do everything. So it is stressful, but he was supportive the whole time. And that really took a lot of stress off me.
That makes
because as far as like just moving her and getting all her stuff together and everything, like I said, it's just me, so I have to do everything. So it was a lot.
One of the things that I like when y'all were talking is that you really like heard her pain. You said, yeah, and one thing I want to say is that she's dealing with it all on her own, and so that's in counseling what we would call is empathy, the ability to step outside of yourself and your shoes and what you want and what you need and step into your mate's shoes and really hear things from their perspective. That was good.
Yeah, so carry it versus trying to solve it, men. All right, same thing. When men get a chance to vent, like just let them vent. Don't say, well, just quit your job then. Build them up. Listen, I know you. Right. That's far. Hey, you ain't gonna say that. Oh man. Right. I can identify that. Take a break, King. Take a break. Yeah. So as we wrap, as we wrap up, Quick comment, then we'll wrap up so people can be on time for church.
I'm sorry I waited so late. It was about the blended part before we get in. One of the problems that we do have is that I can't get or stomach so much is we get no help. We have a blended family. We get no help from the son's part of the family. But all they want to see him all the time. But we get absolutely no help. They don't call, they don't send anything, they don't do anything, but except they see what he's become. You understand? Now they accept that, but where's the,
But
they
then
don't
when
call
you
and
go to
talk.
discipline, then they want to call and intervene and interject.
Right. Well,
Well, I don't care what they say, but I'm just saying.
All right, two things quickly. Some of you may have to go back to court. I'm just being honest. Some of you are enabling a situation to where they're letting you do everything. And so you say they're going to do nothing, so we do everything, and it's straining your ability to put your biological children to college. It's straining your ability to take vacation. It's straining your ability to retire at a time. It takes a lot to pay for college, and some of you need to just go back and revisit that custody agreement. And sometimes that's not practical, all right? Then you're going to have to be able to figure out what do we do to support ourselves? And I'm a big proponent. If the kid is 15, 16, 17, 18, they should be working. All right, they can take some of that financial stress, off of you as well. All right, so as we wrap up, remember, carry the stress versus try to fix the stress. Blended family, like the biological parent, take the head on the relation, on the discipline. And then as the married couples in the room, make sure you're scheduling time with one another. Put away that cell phone, put away that Netflix, put away the things that are distracting you from having quality time. Research says you can just spend 15 minutes a day just looking into your partner's eyes, just talking about non-business things. I'm gonna be honest, some of y'all conversations just straight boring. All right? Can that. Go back to your date conversations. You can talk about what's going on in TV, you can talk about what's going on in life, you can talk about where you want to travel to, but just get away from the mundane. That's what makes marriage dull. All we do is talk about the bills and the kids and mama and daddy. No, get back to having really exciting conversations when you first dated. That way you can have more sexual intimacy. All right.
All right, guys. So